from the University of Zagreb in Croatia, and her doctorate in applied mathematics from Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh. She's now a professor at the University of Nottingham. Prior to that, she worked as a principal researcher at Microsoft Research in Cambridge, in the United Kingdom. So, Natasa, thank you for being with us today. So Natasa is certainly the right person to talk with if you have some new idea and you would like to promote it. And she's an expert in entrepreneurship, and this is what she's going to talk to us today.
All tangled now. Okay, great. Well, thank you very much, Yula. Thank you all for this opportunity. This is going to be quite a different talk. It is not about necessarily computer science, but I hope I will connect computer science with another very exciting endeavor, and that is entrepreneurship. And so, objective of this talk is to prepare you for the next part of the event, which is going to be networking. So that's the primary objective of this talk, but I would like to share with you some of the things that I have acquired through my professional experience, and maybe remove some of the misconceptions that exist generally about business and entrepreneurship. When I finished my PhD in mathematics in Pittsburgh, I was first teaching for about 4 or 5 years, and then I was invited to join a startup from Carnegie Mellon University. It was in information retrieval. It was when we were trying to transition from Boolean systems into natural language processing systems. And there was a professor at the university, Carnegie Mellon University, who was very enthusiastic, and he wanted natural language processing to get into the marketplace. So he needed a person to help. So I was the third person to be hired. And that was the first experience with a startup when you actually have to do everything and anything. And then after that experience, it was 5 years, then I joined Microsoft, and I stayed with Microsoft for 17 years. So I went from a mini to a maxi, from a small business that was in fact acquired at the time by a company in Japan, Just System Corporation. So once that acquisition was done, then I was moving to Europe, and I joined a lab, and that was a research lab in Cambridge. Okay, and so recently, actually last year, I left Microsoft and I joined Nottingham and I started my own business. So this is the startup that I'm experiencing, and I will share with you some of the experiences of directly starting a startup, but also just to explain a little bit how the entrepreneurship works. This is where I am at the moment. So most of you are in academia now. I am in Nottingham, and it's in Britain. But they do have actually 5 campuses, 3 in Nottingham, and then 1 in Malaysia, and 1 in China, and just came back from China, exciting place, and very nice way of connecting actually business and research. So this is also what's happening in Nottingham. They're building an entrepreneurship center that will in fact take the IP from academia and move it into businesses. They also have already invested in an innovation park, and all of these buildings that you see, they're already geared towards creating value out of research. And some of them, in fact, already host, I think about 60 companies, young companies, 10 employees per company, so 600 people moving IP into business. But this is where my home was, because I started the business while I live in Cambridge, and so I started the business before I was thinking about joining Nottingham, and Accelerator program in Cambridge is basically the home of my startup. Yeah. So the program, in fact, helps students from University of Cambridge primarily, or anybody who lives in Cambridge, to come up with an idea, form the team, and then move ideas into marketplace. So here I'm just showing a couple of things first, just to get an idea. Number of these companies have to pitch, and this is a website where they actually pitch their value. What's important to understand with entrepreneurship, a lot of people think people start businesses because they want money. In fact, the primary objective of any of these endeavors is to create value. So you do it because you are creating value. And you're doing it by maybe fixing your problem or dreaming up about something that people may want, or something that you really believe so strongly and you want to deliver to the world. And so the money is then a side effect. So if you produce enough value that people want it, then some people will pay for it. Often people just create, people are entrepreneurial in many different ways. You don't really need to start an enterprise. Most of you are quite entrepreneurial. I can tell you my kids are very entrepreneurial. When they are creating a party, you have to see that. I mean, they have a team immediately. They organize and get money from mom and dad, and it just goes. So you can just see so that this drive exists. The question is only how and where you direct it. This is one interesting venture. It is Viva Calacatta, who decided that she will print food. In fact, she will print fruit for you from any juice. So it's really fantastic if you just think she's challenging the traditional view of what fresh food is. And she set up an agency that is a design agency and working with companies who would like to be innovative, but of course it's very hard to be innovative in an established organization that has to produce what the market wants. People like her can improvise, can dream, can try, and then the companies can, in a very low-risk way, collaborate with her to try things in the marketplace. I'll show you another one that I really like a lot, and I had a chance to speak with them quite a bit. It is a company called SIMPRINT. And SIMPRINT is a not-for-profit organization that is trying to help people in developing countries, those who are on the move. So imagine in Africa there was recently a problem with Ebola. So people moved from one place to another because they were scared. They didn't want to, they wanted to move their families into areas where they're safer. And the problem is that they cannot get treatment. You have a baby carrying a baby with you. You don't have a vaccination record. You do not have any information about, blood type. Nothing is available to the doctors once you get to a destination. So there's a real problem because doctors are much slower in treating patients because they do not have access. So this team has put together a solution. And I'm mentioning this because the technology that they use is what most of us computer science are familiar with. It is the recognition of fingerprints. And it's everywhere now. I mean, soon you just put it on your laptop and here you go. So in a way, it's a mature technology. So the question is, how do you and why is it that they needed to bring this to Africa in a different way? And so there are small things often. You have a technology sort of ready for some applications, but still not good enough to provide value in some other context. And in this particular case in Africa, first of all, you have different conditions. If you have sweaty fingers, if there's a dust, if your device needs charging and you don't have electricity around. So you have to think about lots of other aspects, which makes then your solution and your business very unique. So what somebody is producing for the mass market, for the laptops identification, you can produce for a smaller market. Actually, not really. It's a specialized market, if you wish. It doesn't have to be smaller. It's a specialized market where you can provide value. I also want to I'll show you another good point here, the team. So often the way it starts is you have somebody who is really passionate about a particular cause. But then that person needs to pull together a team. And that team needs to be diverse. I'll explain a bit later how you go about this. But in this particular instance, Toby was the one who spent years, in fact, in different places around the world, in different projects, and became aware of this acute problem. And then he managed to get other people on board. And you can see that they have different, one is in nanotechnology, another one is transition genetics, medical science, business and technology systems. Okay, and so all these people now believe in the vision and mission, and they're going to join him, and they will contribute their perspective on it. And it doesn't matter, you are nanotechnologists, you can still join a team that is working in biotech or in arts. So what I want to say is, first of all, you don't have to always be the one who comes with an idea. You can join a team and you can push together towards a vision. So now a little bit about the basics. Often people ask, so what is it? What does make something entrepreneurial? And this is sort of the schematics that a Judge Business School in Cambridge, they would try to teach you this. And they say, it is basically a person who can identify the opportunity and a person who can accumulate resources to then create value. That's who an entrepreneur is. And it is often the case that the resources that you need are not under your command. So you look around, you think about an idea, you look around and see, okay, who can I mobilize for my cause? And often when you start talking, people will join you. So just quickly then, in your context, when you are working on technology in academia, this is normally what happens. You start with some prototypes. First you start with algorithms, and then somebody may ask you, okay, yeah, you got an algorithm, that's great, but how impactful is it? What is it used for? Yeah? So then you go and try to create a concept. And so you create a concept and you create the first prototype. And the prototype may work in your lab. And you say, whoever wants to touch your demo says, kind of stay away. It's going to fall apart. I can't really give it to you yet because it's not ready. And so we normally in research, we climb up from a level 1, 2, 3 up to level 4. So we do have some prototype, but then level 5 and 6 is the readiness of technology when you're supposed to put it somewhere else and leave it there so others can use it. And that's for us in research really, really hard because the step from your little prototype that you have locally and you can show it to people to one that people can use is a huge jump. And that's not always understood. So when you're applying for grants, it's not always easy to justify that step because what you need really is a developer. What you need really is somebody who can support your prototype. And then after that, beyond that is actually commercialization. So just so you know, in your context, don't be surprised. It is the nature of the thing. It's not your fault. You cannot always move the technology all the way up. And often people who are trying to do this do not understand this part. For the top 3 levels, when you need to identify the market, you need to understand the value proposition, and you need to get the business team, lots of times it's not well understood. And even in governments who are supporting this, they don't really understand that. So just quickly, so I said it's about a collection of resources. These resources are primarily your team. You need a team, because you can't do it alone. And the reason is, this is one of the studies, it has been shown that there are a number of different roles that are required for an enterprise. And lots of us just like 2 or 3. So out of these roles, doer, finisher, organizer, kind of we have preference for 2 or 3, and then who's going to do the rest? So that's why the team is important. We need to divide the roles. And most important is, none of these resources that you've got here, you will be able to get from one source. That's why you need your social environment. You need to be connected with people. No enterprise can exist until it connects with the rest of the ecosystem, because you need to create value and exchange value. Enterprise does not exist. It goes under very quickly if it is not connected. And you do that through social. And just one last thing, social capital is not the magic. Social capital is your network and your reputation. And when you build a team, you basically have a collective network and collective reputation. So when you're picking your team, make sure that they got social capital. Social capital is people you know who are influential you can use, but that only opens the door for you. So you can connect with them, but then it's up to you how you're going to use this and how successfully you can convey what you need and what you give it to them. It's most important, it has to be reciprocal. So it was a kind of a quick overview of what it is, but it's all about the motivation for the next thing. Now you can go and practice. This is the only way you can really get your social capital and build a team, is if you connect with people and start talking about your ideas and see whether you can excite others to join you. Thanks.
So let me just see how many questions do we have, because we are out of time. Is there any question? Okay. If it's just one, then, and it's a fast one, we can take it. Otherwise, the speaker will be here, and you can talk to her during the break.
We can network. We're going to go
Okay. Okay. So thank you for being in this session. Now we have a networking break, and the poster